Hello, it's Will and Andrew, and I saw a thing on the radio the other day, the chap talking about his experience with alcohol, and he talked about his traumatic childhood. This was on Radio 4, and it was interesting to me because this chap was saying that when he was drinking for many years to anaesthetise his traumatic childhood. Obviously, drink was a huge problem as well, but for him it was a kind of way of dealing with life. And he said it helped him get through life. You know, it was seen as a useful thing. Then he stopped drinking, and then after 6 months of not drinking, not having anaesthetic in a sense, then he felt even worse than even when he was drinking, and had to, I guess, face the pain of his life or his past, his childhood, etc. So I wanted to ask Will about when you stopped drinking, because I think a lot of people, there's this sense that oh my God, you know, there's the trauma of whatever it is, and do all people have trauma in the background? Are all alcoholics or ex-alcoholics? Is it always about? So I was just wondering, what was that for you?
It may well be the case that all alcoholics have some sort of trauma, but for me, it felt that the problem was the drinking, and when I stopped, the problem was eradicated.
Yeah.
I think in my first couple of years of stopping, I went to AA groups, Alcoholics Anonymous groups, a lot, and it became apparent after a period of time that for people attending AA, the sense is that I wouldn't like to say that giving up alcohol was the easy bit, but certainly what Alcoholics Anonymous provides for its congregation are the tools to help you put your life back together again without the alcohol.
Yeah.
So just to take that, taking that example of the person you heard on the radio, their life was made better.
Yeah.
The cure was the remedy was alcohol. But when you took that away, what were you left with to deal with the problem that was the residue of what was left? And that's in a way what AA is there to do. It's not, you don't go to AA meetings and sit there and talk about how you're not going to drink.
Well, okay.
Most people in the room are not drinking.
Right.
What they're dealing with is life.
Right. Okay.
And so what AA is offering is a remedy for how you deal with life.
Okay.
Without the alcohol.
Yes.
And then, of course, everybody's experience is going to be radically entirely different, uniquely different. But that is, that's what AA offers. And for me, that was in some ways the problem about AA for me, was that I didn't feel that I had that. Maybe I have. I don't know. I haven't addressed it. But
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Or ask.
Yes. Is there something you're spotting?
No, it's not that at all. Because, as you know, I'm a therapist a lot of the time, and I don't see people. We just talked about the Michael Jackson story, Neverland, and all that. I don't see people who are. I don't attract clients who are, for instance, have been terribly abused or suicidal. I just don't attract those clients. So that's kind of not my experience, and maybe that's not because that's not my personal experience as well. But I was wondering, that the expectation that even you said, oh, well, maybe there is some trauma, that somehow you. I'm just wondering how many people are out there who are possibly similar to you, who are using alcohol destructively. They stop, and they're almost like, okay, is there going to be some big trauma that appears? And maybe there isn't. And there are a lot of people who haven't been traumatized as children or abused or whatever. So I was wondering, were there many people from AA when you were in those meetings like you who were saying, well, actually, I haven't got a huge life problem. I've just
I never really get a real sense of the sort of numbers of people who. What I did feel that was that the majority of people at AA probably had drunk to what I would call a rock bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
And many of those had reached the point where they were physically addicted.
So that's its own trauma, isn't it? But
yes.
it's whether that you're being that the I guess childhood trauma, parents, sexual abuse, physical abuse, or whatever. Yeah.
That all came up. That did come up.
But not necessarily for everybody.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
So I suppose that's partly what I think we're saying as well with these videos is that the alcohol, the relationship with alcohol is not necessarily covering up trauma or sexual abuse or some, let's say, huge childhood problem. Yes, it's useful to anesthetize you in certain ways, at certain times. Yes. But it isn't necessarily, oh my God, if I stop drinking, then some terrible dark secret is going to happen.
And which is why I felt sort of slightly with AA that for me it was a sledgehammer to crack a nut in some ways, because it was dealing with the problems of people who had perhaps in some cases been abused, or their background was deeply traumatic. Alcohol had been the way in which they remedied that situation for themselves. And if you are just sort of if you don't feel that you've had that and you've been drinking too much and it's become too much and you need to stop, going to AA, I likened it to sort of checking in on a pneumonia ward with a light cold. It felt like I'm in the wrong place here. I'm not in the league of these people. I don't feel worthy to be in these people's company. I wasn't putting them down. I just felt I wasn't part of this club. I'm going to be frowned on for being such a lightweight. Whereas if you look at what I was drinking, it was huge, and I couldn't possibly be considered a lightweight as a problematic drinker. But in the pecking order of extreme drinking, I felt I was on the nursery slopes and couldn't really be considered. I hadn't hit the rock bottom that people talked of. I didn't feel that my life had become unmanageable throughout. In fact, if anything, my life had become too manageable with alcohol. I was managing it too much. And therein lies in a different set of problems. But it didn't seem that AA was solving that problem for me. It was for people whose lives had become completely chaotic. And out of the ashes, the phoenix rises. Is that right?
Phoenix rises. Yes, definitely.
Out of the ashes of alcoholic destruction and shaking hands and not being.
Which is a different kind of trauma, isn't it? I mean, obviously you've got the trauma. You've got the traumatic effect of being an alcoholic, too much drinking, and the effect of relationships and blah 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 blah. And also you've got the possible trauma of childhood or something that you've been trying to anaesthetize. And those are obviously quite separate things. And it's fairly true to say that with your experience, once you got rid of, in a sense, the traumatic or the destructive effect of alcohol, then you still had to deal with life.
Yeah, and it's also entirely possible that my heavy drinking was originally caused by experiences that I'd gone through as a child and growing up. I'm not saying that isn't the case, but it didn't mean that when I stopped, all those things would suddenly rise up and bite me. They were there, and I can recognise them as potential causes, but they weren't. They're not things that I don't feel I'm traumatised.
It didn't open up a whole new box. That's what I was just saying.